If you love the Beetlejuice movies, and you're a fan of the cartoon, you might be tempted to check out the officially licensed Beetlejuice games that came out on retro consoles, and be disappointed. But fret not, because there is a game out there that's perfect for fans that want to try out bioexorcism for themselves. It may not have the Beetlejuice name, but it definitely has the spirit. Join me as we take a look at Haunting starring Polterguy for the Sega Genesis on Retro Video Games for Weirdos. Hello to all you wonderful weirdos out there, and welcome to Retro Video Games for Weirdos. I've been a fan of Beetlejuice ever since the original film came out in 1988. When I was growing up, I strongly identified with the character of Lydia, as I also consider myself strange and unusual. And if you have a love of strange and unusual video games like I do, then you should definitely check out Haunting starring Polterguy. Haunting starring Polterguy was released for the Sega Genesis in 1993. When you take a look at the print ad for this game, there certainly seems to be some inspiration drawn from the original Beetlejuice movie. A lot of the spooky, weird things in this print ad look like they could have come out of a Tim Burton film.
Help me scare the evil, greedy sardines out of their 4 big mansions by turning everyday household objects into something scary, funny, or just plain super gross. Or use my 5 special spells to really send them shrieking. But hurry, because my ectoplasm's almost running out.
You play Polterguy, who is the ghost of a teenager that recently lost his life in a skateboarding accident. A defective skateboard was responsible for his death, and it was manufactured by a company owned by sleazy businessman Vito Sardini. Your goal in this game is to get vengeance on Vito Sardini by haunting his home and scaring him and his family so much that they flee in terror. The Sardini family consists of Vito, his wife Flo, his son Tony, and his daughter Mimi. When you start the game, you are in the Sardini home. You will move from room to room until you find a member of the Sardini family. Approach items in the room until you can find one with a colorful, flashing diamond on it. When you press the A button on the controller, your character will hop into the object, thereby possessing it. What happens when the object is possessed will vary from object to object. A lot of the humor in the game comes from the weird things that happen when you possess each object. You may need to possess multiple objects in the room to finally get the family member to flee in terror. Once they do, pools of green ectoplasm will appear in the room. Collecting ectoplasm is very important in this game, as ectoplasm serves as your life bar. Your ectoplasm meter is constantly being depleted. If you run out of ectoplasm, you'll vanish from the home and be sent to the underworld. Now, I'll be honest with you. The underworld part of the game is frustrating. When people gripe about this game, this is the part of the game that they're most unhappy about. Playing the underworld levels feels like you're running around a weird subterranean obstacle course. While there, you will need to pick up pools of ectoplasm while avoiding traps and enemies. In the underworld, you will have a portrait of your character that serves as your life bar. Each time you take damage from a trap or an enemy, a little bit of your portrait disappears. Once it gets to the point that only your eyes are visible, one more hit will result in a game over. Because the underworld is the one place where you can get a game over, you'll want to do everything you can to avoid going there. This means staying full up on ectoplasm as much as possible. And this is where the game starts to feel a little bit unfair. Once you scare the last family member out of the home and proceed to the next level, the game makes you go to the underworld before you can start haunting the next home. Even if you were really good at managing ectoplasm and had almost a full meter when the level ended, the game will still force you to go to the underworld to collect more ectoplasm. And since your underworld health meter does not regenerate, each successive trip to the underworld is increasingly likely to be your last. One positive thing about the underworld is that it is the one place in the game where you can collect spells. Sometimes in the underworld, you will see a red letter appear on the ground. Each of these letters corresponds to a different spell that you can use when you go back to haunting the Sardini family. I honestly didn't know what these letters were for until I read the manual. It would have been nice if there was a text box or some sort of other on-screen prompt that told you what you just collected. I do seem to be complaining about this game an awful lot. Is it really better than the licensed Beetlejuice games? Well, let's start by taking a look at Beetlejuice for the NES. It looks like a standard platform game so far. Oops, I died. Oh, I died again. Well, I died there too. Maybe I just need to get used to the controls. A button jumps, and the B button is my attack, which is a stomping move. It doesn't work against larger enemies, but Beetlejuice can use it to crush small bugs. I was expecting a bit more from the ghost with the most. What's so special about you, Beetlejuice? What makes you the ghost with the most?
I can crush small bugs with my feet.
Yeah. So let's move on to the Game Boy Beetlejuice game. So this one is based on the cartoon. Plot-wise, the game is a bit of a reverse of what we saw with Haunting starring Polterguy. Beetlejuice invited a bunch of ghosts over, so now Beetlejuice must unspook the house and return things to normal. In this game, you are facing everyday objects that are haunted and can hurt you. At least in this game, you have a projectile attack that is actually effective. And that's good because you'll be using it throughout the house on various items that are haunted. For example, in this laundry room, where you'll have to fight against haunted laundry. I do also want to point out that these stairs are horrible and I hate them. Perhaps my biggest criticism of both of these games is they are very ordinary. They don't stray far from the gameplay mechanics that were common at the time. And I can't help but feel that ordinary just doesn't fit well when it comes to Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is a celebration of the strange and unusual, and Haunting starring Polterguy fits that much better than the licensed games. So, Haunting starring Polterguy may not be perfect, but it is certainly weirdly unique, which is a quality found in both the Beetlejuice movies and the Beetlejuice cartoon.